Hello, everyone. I am here with John with Rhynes Wholesale today, and I am very excited to pick his brain about the top decor trends for 2026 and what we as booth vendors should be on the lookout for and we should be selling. So, welcome, John.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Crystal. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's always fun to do these with you and pick your brain from someone that's in the retail world, seeing what people are buying. Because, as booth vendors, we're not there all the time and we can see what sells in our booth, but not every day what's going through the door. And so, thank you for letting me pick your brain.
Um,
The way that I met John is through our Facebook community, Vintage Booth Pro community. Everyone's welcome to join. We talk about everything from vintage, handmade items, just anything that you can resell in a vendor type booth. Okay, so let's get to the first trend that you're seeing.
yeah, so just to start it off, I think the overall trend that's kind of leading us into 2026 is just this idea of coming back to what's real, what's tangible, what's tactile. There is so much just, fake AI stuff out in the world now that I think people are wanting to bring the natural back into their home. And I think as we kind of talk about all these things, you'll see how that really integrates itself into each of these points. But really, just the first thing I'd like to dive into here is this idea of bringing warmth and just this expressive character back into your displays, into your home. When we're surrounded by all these things that are just so glossy and fake, and you can tell that it's not man-made, you have this inner desire to be drawn towards the more natural things. So as we go into 2026, really just keep an eye out for handmade decor, things that have a history, that have a story, things that maybe don't look so cookie cutter, that are irregular to a degree, just something that is unique and has this built-in character in it, I think is going to be really popular.
Absolutely. And the problem with AI is it's gotten so good, you really don't know what is real and what is not. So, you just kind of have to learn and go with it and kind of assume first, always assume, is that AI if something is really, really cookie cutter, like you said? So, what are some things
Mhm.
you think we should be on the lookout for? I'm thinking like pottery, chippy furniture, that shabby chic, even farmhouse style, are things that off the top of my head.
Yeah, anything with like this real wood grain, anything like you said, like
Mhm.
ceramics, pottery, things that have a texture to it that you can touch and feel and that are tactile. One thing really that I think is going to be really beneficial is the incorporation of storytelling into displays, into any tags that you make. Really think about that as you're crafting like your item descriptions. You want to focus on things like heirloom, imperfect, artisan inspired, things that give this implication of this was made by someone. It's real. It's not just mass produced. It's got this real weight and history to it.
And even if you don't know the history, a lot of things we pick up at a thrift store, at a estate sale, look it up online. Use Google Lens, see if you can find out anything about the piece. But if you are at an estate sale, ask questions. See if you can try to figure out, when did the person buy this? Do you have any stories that I can share with my people? So always ask questions and be the squeaky wheel, things like that, and research as much as you can.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. So the next thing I love to talk about is the color palettes that are really starting to take
okay.
over. I think we've seen a lot of this kind of be introduced this year, and 2026 is really looking to be just a natural continuation of a lot of the trends that have gone on this year. So we've seen a lot of more earthy, natural colors take hold this year, and that's really just elevated going into 2026. So we're not looking for this like very plain white, neutral background, this clean look. I know that was really big a couple of years ago. And then I think as we've spent more time in home, again, with so much unnatural surrounding us, I think people are wanting things that remind them of nature. So we have a lot of browns, greens, deep, rich colors. It's just this, like I said, natural continuation of what we've already been seeing this year.
Yeah. I think that's a great trend. And even my kids will tell me, do you need to go touch grass? So we're just, as a society, wanting to connect more with nature, get out of our computers, get out of our head a little bit,
Mhm.
get outside and bring the outdoors inside. So what kind of product to look out for?
Yeah, we've seen a huge uptick for the furniture that we stock and
Mhm.
carry. A much higher demand for the natural finishes, or like walnut, oak, this natural wood, even deep blues. We have this really popular navy color in one of our product lines that's really taken a hold on customers now. Greens, anything that helps it stand out a little bit more, that doesn't look so just like that white kind of finish that I think was popular for so many years.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
starting to fade away. Even black, we've seen a huge uptick in. So anything
Okay.
that gives character and personality and depth to something.
Great. I love to hear that because I love black. I love natural colors. So, yeah, very excited to hear that.
Yeah, and when you're thinking about all the your use of colors in your displays and in your home, one thing that we talk about in a merchandising guide that we produced
Yes.
is this 60-30-10 rule. And it's something that the best displays care incorporate this, but 60% is this neutral background kind of color, which could even be something that has a bit more character and weight to it. But that's kind of the proportion that you want, is that 60% as this overarching, more background color, 30% being the primary kind of like staple color in your display, and
Mhm.
then 10% being that accent color that really just helps specific pieces pop that you want to draw your customers' attention to.
Gotcha. And that makes so much sense. And how would you incorporate that with like the earthy tones we talked about before?
Yeah, so you could stick with like a tan kind of light brown as a neutral, just to give that warm, inviting feel. You could have a deeper green as that 30% primary, and then even just pops of white. Maybe that, instead of that being the more neutral color, that becomes the more accent color, which just pops off of those greens and browns, just to draw your attention to it.
Great. Yeah, I love that. Okay, what else are you seeing?
Yeah, so really we're as a whole we're looking for sustainability.
Mhm.
In today's economy, we want our money to mean something. We want it to go a lot further than it used to. I think people as a whole are really taking stock of what they have and what they need. So if someone's going to come in and spend their money on a piece, or on a an accent decor piece, they really want it to matter to them. So this is something that we're seeing called sustainable luxury, that they
Ah,
want their
okay.
home to be elevated. They don't want it something to look cheap or feel cheap, but they want it to last. I think we're seeing this return to like pieces that would stay with your family for generations. Like in my house, we have a trunk that my wife's great grandmother had made. And so
Wow.
it's nearly 100 years old, and it carries all this weight and meaning to it. And you can tell by the craftsmanship that it is made to last. And that's the kind of thing that I think we're seeing a return to, is our pieces, especially furniture that is, it's real wood. We're not looking
Mhm.
for this. Yeah, we're not looking for stuff that's just going to last for about a year or two, and then you're going to have to turn it
Exactly.
over
Right.
and get a brand new piece.
Right. Heavily over manufactured type furniture, things like that. I
Mhm.
understand what you're saying. And one of the terms or a couple of phrases that I hear a lot are buy for life,
Mhm.
buy once, buy for life, things like that. And those are some keywords that, we could use in our social media that to help people find us. So absolutely, I'm seeing more and more of that. And I would love to find more pieces like that for my home personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that kinda lends itself to the storytelling, that's gonna
Hmm.
be really important next year. You want pieces that have a history, that have weight to it, that mean something, and even if you don't know the specific story, you can give your own interpretation of what it means for you. Just something, as long as a customer feels like a connection, like an emotional connection to what they're gonna buy, that's the most important thing.
Sure, absolutely. You have to have that hit of nostalgia, that impulse feeling that people, need to have that immediately. So makes a lot of sense. So what else do you have for us?
Yeah, the last big point is we've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but this more sensory, nature driven aesthetic that people want to bring the outside inside. You're seeing a lot more plants, whether they be real or really high quality fake or faux florals incorporated in displays. You're seeing more like warm lighting, especially with computer generated images. It's just this very pale, you know, the look when you see it, but it's
Yeah.
very artificial. So you're looking for more warm lighting, which I think is again lends itself to those greens and browns, more natural looking colors that we're seeing. And we're also looking for things that are tactile, like you, I think you mentioned this earlier, but the like the chunky blankets, furniture, any kind of like pottery, anything that you can get your hands on, that's going to be the most important thing. But really just bringing the outside, the natural inside is the biggest trend that we're seeing.
Right, and kind of bringing in that cozy feeling back to our homes. So things to be on the lookout would be blankets, any textured materials, ceramics even, or what else did you have in mind for that?
Yeah, like furniture that it's not just this smooth, polished look, something that's handcrafted or that
Mhm.
has a deep wood grain to it. You know, when you're looking at artwork, stuff that isn't just printed out on paper, you know, that tactile canvas feel to it. You want something with dimension, with depth that by looking at it, you know, it doesn't look mass produced. You want it
Right.
to feel like somebody spent time on this piece, even if it is mass produced or even if it is not like a maybe if it's like a reproduction, something
Mhm.
that looks like it's got more emotional weight to it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Just to run it back down, handcrafted items, uniqueness, tactile, sensory driven type things, warm, earthy palettes, and timeless, buy it once, more solid, things with weight, things that you can pass on from one generation to the next.
Mhm.
If you could pin down to how to avoid AI looks and how to just keep away from that entirely, would you have any advice for that?
Yeah, you know, it again, that AI look is just that glossy, very blank, neutral kind of aesthetic to it. So really just by inserting your own taste, your own
Mm,
character into
yes,
a display,
yes.
into the pieces,
Right.
your character is what's going to help your booth, your display stand out.
Yeah.
Storytelling again is the biggest thing. Giving
Mhm,
something a background or a backstory, letting something stand out on its own, so it doesn't just kind of blend in with everything else. You will really want to catch someone's attention with color, with lighting, and letting it be inviting, but also you know stand out. Let it grab your attention.
mhm. And I loved hearing that on an article I was reading that minimalism is going away and
Mhm.
we should focus on
Yes.
maximalism and mix and match, find eclectic pieces, things that we personally love and make it our own. And I think that is the number one biggest trend of 2026 or any year, really. We should always make our houses our home. And that is what is so great about shopping and vintage booths because you will find the most unique pieces in antique malls across the country. So I think that basically wraps it up. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, yeah, I'm really excited about all of these things going into next year. This return to the natural, to more tactile things. I think it's only going to be positive, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this. You know, when we get these submissions from members of the Vintage Booth group and people's displays and how maybe we can give feedback. We've done those kind of videos
Yes. Yeah,
before.
that was fun.
I will we will definitely be doing those next year. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing how these trends are applied to everybody's booths.
Right, absolutely. And if you want that merchandising guide, I will link it below. And John with Rhynes will email it to you, and you will get their amazing email newsletter, I bet, and which is always great and filled with great advice. So thanks so much for watching. And we have a couple more videos that I will link to. You can see the Rhynes playlist and keep watching. And we'll talk to you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.